another week of We Shine Media Spotlight presents the Becoming Her series, Becoming Her with the co-authors of Her, Unshakable, Unbreakable, Unstoppable. And when I tell you that these 25 women have came on here and they have shown up and shown out and they have dropped some gems, some nuggets, some inspiration, motivation, and something to help you take it to the next level in your life. And so when we talk about becoming her, it's not an overnight process. You don't just, it's not like a genie in the bottle and you just, rub it and then it's poof, now you're all of a sudden brand new. No, becoming is a process. That ing at the end means that it's continuous, because the word says that all things work together. So that means whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's ugly, it's all working together to form who you are and who you are becoming. And so as long as you're breathing, as long as you're going through life, you're constantly evolving. And so we don't want to be with people who are just stuck, right? Stuck in being the same. You don't want to meet the person that you graduated with years ago and they have not changed at all. You want to see some growth, really. Even though you may love who they were then, you're going to love them even more now that they've had more experiences under their belt and, did some different things. So anyway, let me get back to what I'm here for tonight, because I have an amazing guest. I'm so excited that you get to meet this person. And when I tell you, I want you all to share the broadcast, like the broadcast, tag somebody that you know needs to hear this story, because I'm telling you, she's kicking off week 4. So that's right. If you have not tuned in, we have done 3 weeks of fabulousness of all the ladies. So this is week 4, and I need you to tune in, because this lady is going to bring it to you. She is just the most sweetest spirit I know, and I'm telling you, she is always looking to uplift and encourage people, even when her life hasn't always been great. Still, she didn't let that change her. As a matter of fact, it seems like it just made her an even better person. So I'm not going to hold you any longer. I want to bring to the virtual stage none other than Ashley Nicole Morrow. Ashley, how are you?
Amazing. How are you?
Fantastic. Super excited to be on here with you to get an opportunity
Likewise.
for us to finally virtually meet.
Yes.
I mean, you've been in the group chats and everything, but it's a little different when we get to actually talk like this.
Yes.
So I'm super excited about it. And I don't know if you were able to tune in, but last week Miss Doris was able to introduce the song, and so
Yes.
we'll go ahead and just give them a little snippet of that. Yes, this is the
That is awesome.
no. It's just a nice little bouncy vibe. So I
Yes.
thought it was nice. Yes. Yay! So I want to hop into it, Ashley, because your chapter was just so, the way that you set it up, you gave everybody a way to introduce them to you and who you are
Yes.
today. And
Yes.
then you went back and said, but let me tell you what I've been through in order
Mm-hmm.
to get here.
Yes.
So let's share a little bit, as far as who you are now. Like, what do you do? Who is Ashley Morrow?
So my day job is I work at a steel company, okay, which is like the last place I would have seen me on the face of the earth, because I always was like, I want to help people, I want to be a doctor or nurse, something like that. And
Mhm.
I was a counselor for quite a while and I loved it, but I got burnout. And so it was like, how do I still help people, but be able to leave that at work and come home and reset and recharge and just be me? And so there was a position at this steel company open, and it worked out that it was HR. So I still am blessed to help people, and I'm lucky enough to be with them every step of the way, whether it's, a birthday or like, unfortunately, a funeral and they need bereavement. But I am still with them every day, but it's not taxing on me like it was. And then the added bonus of that is my mom's actually the controller there, the CFO. So I work with her every day, which is like, it's a whole nother level of blessing. And I know some people like they'll joke with us, you know what I mean? That like, oh, I couldn't work with my mom. I couldn't imagine not working with her. Like I had worked with her when I was younger for 3 years. And that's just extra time that I have with her. You know what I mean? And like, I realize I'm lucky to have that.
Yes, I love that because my mom is passed, but I would think that if I had the opportunity, girl, I would jump at it because we had so much fun together.
Yeah.
And like you say, sometimes you don't tend to think because obviously we know everybody's got to go at some point in time, and we don't really get a chance to think about investing that time and building memories because that's what you'll have, after the fact. Either way, you know what I'm saying? Because we always think that the parents go first, but that's not always the case. So either way it goes, it's a great opportunity. Now, I must say, Miss Doris said mother and daughter love it. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful experience. I want to say this, which is so ironic to me, Ashley, that you work at a steel mill, right?
Yes.
However, your life is anything but steel mill material. Yes, I mean, I'm just like, you're so, like you're an animal lover, plant lover, spores, you know what I'm saying? You're into all of these, make the world, just a great place. So the steel thing does not match up with that.
I know.
However, if I'm not mistaken, you are a Libra though, right? Horoscope-wise.
Yeah.
So it balances it out. It does. So when I think of it from that perspective, it balances itself out because you got the hardcore steel, all the stuff that goes over here, but then she's out here and save the planet on the other side. So go figure. Ashley, how did you get into the save the planet mentality of, just
So it was a couple things. I had bought my first home on my own. So I'd always either obviously when I was younger, lived with my parents, and then as an adult lived with my first husband. But once it was me, it was like I was renting a lot, and I wasn't in a financial place to own. So when I bought my first house, it was like, how do I make this mine? Like I'm a single mom, I'm on a fixed income now because I'm paying for this home. How do I make it mine? So I actually started going to these seed libraries and different things just to get free seeds and free plants. And it was kind of like this divine intervention, because I don't know what else it could be, that I would go, and instead of it just being like the seeds and you take them out of the library, so they're literally set up like a little free library. So like there's not typically people there. Every time I would go, it must have been like restock day or somebody that had extra plants that knew, hey, there's a seed library, let me drop them off. So then I'd be talking to these people and they'd be like, hey, but you can certify your garden through this zoo and then they'll give you this, or you could certify your garden through this park and they'll send you that. And I'm like, no, I didn't know that was a thing. So I just kept having more conversations and building more relationships. And the next thing I knew, I had found Wild Ones, which is a nonprofit out of Wisconsin. And their goal is to get native plants everywhere because that's like the best plant for the environment, right? And again, I had no clue. I'm just thinking I'm putting plants in the ground. They're doing their job. They're taking the CO2 out and they're giving us oxygen. I didn't realize like there's a tier to this. So then if you get pollinator, it's better. And if you get native, it's even better. So anyways, Wild Ones is native plants. And so then I'm just like chatting back and forth that like, hey, I'm learning about this. But again, like single mom, not a lot of time, not a lot of money. They're like, that's okay. We love your enthusiasm. Do you want to start a chapter? I'm like, did you not hear what I just said? Like, I have no time, no money. Like what? So I ended up I founded a chapter then in Youngstown where I was living at the time. And then that just kind of kept going because then it was like, then the local Rotary found out. So then I ended up with a little free library. I ended up with a giving box. I ended up with this 6-foot tall monarch butterfly that's like this sculpture all in my yard because they were like, you're so into this. And people that like, they're flocking to you for this information. So we'll just give you the information and the resources and you jewel it back out. So like, and it was, but that's what I mean. It was like, I feel like if anybody else would have gone to those little seed libraries, though, you would have just gotten the seeds. You know what I mean? And I
Right,
ended up with
right.
so much more. But then as I was doing it, that's where I realized it was therapy. Like I wasn't just planting. When I was digging those holes, it's like I was digging up parts of me. And when I
Mm-hmm.
was planting those things and they were growing and thriving, I was coming out of survival mode and I was now thriving. So it was
Wow.
a very, on every level, it was so spiritual for me. And again, like as a counselor, I mean, I had always told people like, you need your fresh air and your sunshine and you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like take your vitamin D and like, but it was more than that. And that's where I come back to. It was a very spiritual thing. And that was where I started to pray again. Cause it's like now I'm out here and you're not thinking about, oh, the electric bill's due and the gas bill and what groceries and, you know, the tires
Mm-hmm.
need rotated. You're just out there like, thank you, God, I'm still alive. Like, thank you, Jesus, I'm
Yes.
here another day.
Yes. Yes. I'm really one. I love the energy. I love it, and I see why people gravitate towards you because you are so enthusiastic about what you're passionate about, and so that means a lot to people. And they know that when you have that level of enthusiasm and you want to see people be successful and you want to see the environment be better for yourself and people that you love
Yeah.
and just the world generally,
Yes.
that transitions and translates over to somebody else saying, you know what, we can trust her with information.
Hmm.
Nicole said that's so powerful. She said, yes, go, Ashley. And Nicoria says, yes. It's the essence of who you are, and it bubbles out in
Yeah.
your responses in how have relationships with people. So now I can see, because honestly, in reading your chapter and all that you do, people always ask me, Ashley, when do you sleep? And I'm thinking to myself, when does Ashley sleep? Because y'all think I do stuff. Ashley does it 10 times more than what I do. Ashley, you have spearheaded and founded and created and brought people together for so many different causes.
Yeah.
Was that you as a child, or you just
Yeah, that's always been me. So I'm blessed because trust me, for quite a while I didn't see it that way, but I am blessed with being an overachiever. So I mean, like I said, growing up, I didn't see it that way. You know, it was like you're a perfectionist and you do too much and you try too hard and you get too invested and like, oh, that was just an essay or oh, that was just a science project that nobody's going to remember in 10 years. But looking back, that is just who I am. That's how I've always been.
yeah.
Now, again, as an adult, do I realize, yeah, the science project was not that serious? You know what I mean? So like they were right, but that is just fundamentally me. So
Yes, yes. So I'm going to read a little bit because I'm going to go back and forth. For one, let's say that your title of this chapter that you wrote in the anthology is Grit,
mhm,
Grace, and God.
yes,
The three G's, and I know Miss Doris is on here. She's big on threes, honey. So the threes have got her, baby. She already like, yes, grit, grace, and God. And
yeah,
I want to say this, and let me catch because I know comments are coming in. And Nicole says, Ashley is such a light, the most supportive person I have ever encountered. Miss Doris said, don't change Ashley at all. Absolutely not. And this part says Ashley's passion for wellness and self care is evident in her content, both on and off social media, as she aims to educate and inspire others. Ashley's journey is marked by adaptability, love, joy, understanding, courage, and a genuine desire to learn.
mhm,
As she explores new interests and experiences, she is excited to share her stories and testimonies with others. She wants to be everyone's friend, cheerleader, companion, and co pilot. She believes no one should ever feel alone, forgotten, or forsaken. Like one of her absolute favorite scriptures or Bible verses is Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. This verse emphasizes the unwavering support and love that true friends provide, especially during difficult times. And actually, I see that, like you said, about learning and how
yeah,
people just see that in you. It's hard pressed for people to find people who genuinely want to see the best in them, genuinely want to be supportive, genuinely, want to do something without getting
Mhm.
anything in return. The beautiful thing I would say about you, Ashley, is that even in this project, you went out and you did you were able to set up a event with brews. It was
Yes,
books and
books and
brews was
brews.
the
Yes.
titles. Yes, can you tell us how you managed to make that happen?
So it's just people, places, things, which I know sounds very simple and very, I guess, kind of childlike, but that is how my whole entire life operates. So again, that was one of those, it was actually not a good time in our life. My significant other and I were going through some things in order to gain custody of his two children.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very taxing. And so when we were driving out the almost hour, we were trying to find joy in it, because you cannot let the hard times win, and
Right.
you just can't let your sorrow swallow you up. So we would
Yeah.
try to find what joy we could, because it's like, we got to have hope for the next day, and we got to have happiness for the kids. And so when we were out the hour away, there is this amazing little brewery called Lock 15. And
Mm-hmm.
we would just go there and we would just sit, and I'd have my Diet Coke because I don't drink, and he'd have his beer, and we'd just sit there and just kind of nurse those two drinks the whole,
Mm-hmm.
2 hours that we were waiting on to pass. And when the 2 hours was up, then we drive back, pick up the kids again, and we come home. And we developed a really close relationship with all of the staff there. And it got to the point that, like, they knew us, we knew them, we knew who their cat was and who had turtles and who was expecting a baby. And they became family. You know what I mean? Like, they were no longer just these people working at this brewery.
Mm-hmm.
So when I wrote the book, like when I was doing my chapter for it, I had the idea that I was like, I really like books and he really likes brews. And at some point that'd be a cute. I didn't think in a million years that they'd actually ultimately say yes. Or I figured if they did, it'd be like, oh, well, once the book's out and established. And so I messaged them and I was like, hey, I have this idea. The book's not even published yet. Would you
Mm-hmm.
guys be interested in something like Books and Brews? Absolutely. How soon can we book you? Okay. Well, then I didn't realize they have a sister brewery acronym, which is like
Mm-hmm.
in the heart of Akron. So they were
Okay.
like, we'd love to set you up there. Can you go there? When can you go there? So that was the one I did April 11th.
Okay.
Well, as I'm back and forth messaging with them, I'm like, well, if they like this idea so much, maybe other breweries would like it. So
Mm-hmm.
I took it and I'm just kind of reaching out to other local ones. And obviously I was trying to be much closer then, because it's like an hour is a long drive. So
Right.
there was one in Austin town, and their whole theme is like Dungeon and Dragons, which I have
Uh-huh.
never played. And I don't know. I mean, like, I know enough to be dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
get the
Right.
premise of the
Right.
game. I didn't realize till I walked in there what it was that the owner was telling me. So she just kept like, you'll fit right in. And I love the cover of your book. And and again, she's telling me it's a Dungeon and Dragons theme, and it's
Mm-hmm.
her and her husband that own it. I get there and I'm talking to Abby. So her husband had been gifted a Mr. Brew, Mr. Beer. It's like make your own beer at home kit.
Mm-hmm.
One Christmas, he fell in
Okay.
love with it, wanted to start a brewery. He was going through all the steps of setting up their brewery that they have in Austin town. He ended up having, I don't remember now, she said like a really bad headache or a really bad migraine, but he ended up going to the hospital. Here they found out that he actually had an ocular tumor. So it has since taken his eye. So
Oh.
in all that, the family finished setting up the brewery.
Mm-hmm.
So he went through his own trials and tribulations trying to set up his passion project.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's what him and her do, but then being in there, everything is like knights and maidens. And so our cover with all the women in armor, she's like, again, you were, you know what I mean? So it was just I had never heard of them. They'd never heard of me. And it wasn't just that you have knights and we have armor. There was so much more that you
Yeah.
knew what you wanted to do. You found your passion. You were in the middle of doing it. And then, oh, here's this horrible obstacle, but oh, you overcame it. And now you have this reward, which matches up with our book, which is then where I'm like, I get it, Abby. I get what you're saying. Like, this book belongs at this brewery. So I then have that one.
Wow. And you know what? I believe that what God has for you is for you. And
Hmm.
even though you may, like you say, y'all are just people who didn't know anything about each other,
Right.
and boom, here comes this opportunity, and it's absolutely perfect because
Hmm.
it's designed. Like Miss Doris says, DD3, divine destiny by design. It
Yes.
all comes together.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fast forward a little bit because I told y'all in the beginning, and I think Leanne was saying, woohoo, Ashley, yes, go and do it. Yes, yes. So in the middle of, Ashley's chapter, as she starts off talking about, where she is in life now and how she saves the world and helps people, learn so much and all of that. After she set that up and says, now that you have started, celebrating somebody and what their accomplishments are, celebrate yourself, but know that
Hmm.
this is not how it's always been.
Hmm.
So I'm going to read another piece where she says, Ashley has been used, abused, lied to, betrayed, cheated on, manipulated, gaslit by her former significant others, thrown under the proverbial bus by her so called friends, laughed at, bullied, and picked on. And that is just the tip of the spear that stabbed her over and over again over the last 36 years. Which to see your personality now, you would never think that was anything that you had to go through or deal with.
Hmm.
And then it goes on to say something Ashley has learned over the years is that her faith cannot be purely theoretical, hypothetical, or limited to just on Sundays. Like
Hmm.
First Thessalonians 5:16-18, rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus.
Hmm.
We cannot let our trials and tribulations break us. We cannot let them define us, and we cannot let them control us. Ashley,
Yeah.
in the midst of all of that, what helped you through?
Praying, prayer. That's my um I tell the kids all the time, you have no idea how much I pray. Like I actually, Nicole and I had to talk about this a few weeks back, that I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm pretty sure Jesus is like, Ashley, there's other people in queue. Stop it. Like, God needs to handle other prayer requests.
Yes.
And then I know he really doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's got all of us all the time, but that's honestly sometimes how I feel, because I'm like, it's just a nonstop, continual back and forth all day, every day prayer with him, that like, no, seriously, can I get moved up in queue? Like, how do I like go to the platinum package? You know what I mean? Like, I need to be able
Right.
to talk to you more.
Right. What you say? When they were nailed at Jesus' feet, what you say? No, yes, I need to be prostrate right here all the time. Where I'm touching the hem of your garment, I'm touching your knees, I'm touching
Exactly.
everything
Whatever.
about you. Whatever needs to happen, I need you to know
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
Ashley, in the midst of prayer, because you've had some serious things happen, you know
Yeah.
that ordinarily, when we talk about being unshakable, shook you,
Oh, yeah.
tried to break you, tried to stop you from becoming who you are right now. And I just think that, for you to have transcended that, and that's not to say life is perfect,
Correct.
but you've gotten past it and you didn't allow the things that were meant to destroy you to do that. And Tammy says, prayer changes things.
Hmm.
Tell me about what you have learned about prayer and how it works, and
So
how you can help people who are not familiar with it.
I think the biggest thing for me has just always been like, growing up, I was very invested in church, and like my grandparents and parents, I made sure, you're there every Sunday, like unless you're
Right.
dying, and even then you're probably going to be there. And I was baptized and everything else. So I was very, I guess, educated on religion is how I want to put that,
Mhm.
but I didn't fundamentally know how to practice it, how to relate to it. It was just I
Right.
have this knowledge of it. And then once I had my son, that was, I think that was like the first real moment where I'm like, okay, I see you. I get this. I understand this now.
Mhm.
And just with every passing thing that occurred then, it was like, oh, okay. I don't like that that's how we got here. But again, now we're closer. To the point that, like, when I heard Karen's live, and she was talking about prayer language, and the two of you just, as you were going back and forth, all I could think about is the series that our pastor's doing right now at church. And it's about, so it started out 4 weeks ago, and we got 3 weeks left in it because it's a total of 7.
Okay.
And so it started with Jehoshaphat, and I want to say there was, well, anyways, it started with Jehoshaphat, and on Mother's Day we ended up on Hannah, because otherwise, if I try to tell you everybody, I'm sure I'll flip-flop somebody. And it was, Hannah's prayer and petition that, I want to be a mother, and why can't I be a mother? And each time, though, he's not doing it, our pastor isn't taking it from the perspective of what is the lesson in this Bible story, or what is, he is showing us, like, how did they set up their prayer, and how did God deliver on that? How did they set up their petition to God, and how did God answer them? And again, I think that's something that, even though in the years I feel like we've gotten a closer, better relationship, and that I do understand him more, this really helped me, that it kind of, like, I went from having the education piece, and I went to having this familiarity and friendship, to now the two are truly connected and joined and are able to work together. Because I think where, like, I would struggle was, I was just talking to God in the sense that it was like, hey, the kids are driving me nuts. What do I do? Or, hey, there's this guy at work and his wife's really sick, and if you could just comfort him and console him and heal her. And again, I know he heard me. I know he did what he needed to do, but that still wasn't right. And I think that's where, in hearing what our pastors had to say, it's like, there is a reason why when you read the Bible and you're reading their prayers, it always starts with, my powerful God, my amazing God, my God that sits over heaven and earth. He's like, there is a certain flow to it. And again, that was where, so when you and Karen were back and forth about that prayer language, it's like, that's what that was making me think of, that there's nothing, there's not a right or wrong, and there's not, what works for you isn't, again, necessarily going to work for me, but there is a structure to it that we have to remember to put his praise first. Like, again, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, if it's right, wrong, or ugly, he's still at the top, and he's still God, and he's still the ultimate authority. And we still have to praise him and love him, because he still praises us and loves us no matter what we're doing. So why wouldn't we praise him and love him no matter what's going on down here? And so, like, that's where I've tried to be more conscientious of that now, that it's like, okay, God, okay, like, I love you, and you're you, and you've got this, and I know you've got this, but now I am going to be needy and make sure that you hear my prayer and take up my time plus Nicole's time, and she can have her place in queue later. So, I mean, I'm still working on it, but, like, I'm getting better.
Right. But you know what? I think that for so many people, they get caught up and they really just feel like they don't know how to pray, or they
Right?
don't know, you know what I'm saying? So even if the Bible says, Jesus, they came, our Father, doing the Lord's Prayer, and how it's set
Yeah.
up and structured, and you say, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed
Yeah.
be thy name. And
Yeah.
you hear that and you know that, but then you get caught up because when things happen to us, we're not thinking about it, especially if
Right.
it's something traumatic, or, something
Right.
that you just like, sometimes you just say, Holy Spirit, help. Or,
Yeah.
as Karen was talking about, you get into your prayer language, because sometimes we don't know what to say, but
Right.
your prayer language, the Holy
Yeah, it
Spirit
takes
will
over.
utter and talk about, like she said, the mysteries. And I just, even my father was a pastor. And so, growing up, like you said, being in church all the time, you think about the mysteries of God. And that's something that we'll never know. And that's why, the Holy Spirit will come in and say and speak those things
Yes.
that we can't even define, because we don't even have the mental capacity to understand.
Yeah.
God's ways are different from our ways. His, everything is different.
Yeah.
So there's power in prayer, though.
Yeah.
So when you can recognize that, it changes things. Like Tammy said, prayer changes things. Ask anybody who has had, a praying grandmother or a praying
Yeah.
mother. Prayer changes things,
Yeah.
really.
Yes.
But you have to believe that.
Exactly. And I think that's my thing too. So like part of my at work, like, so it's like HR and grants and a little bit of everything because we're a
Mhm.
smaller company. So in my HR role though, I have learned again, like I'm still their cheerleader, I'm still whether they're in a funk because of work or they're in a funk because of home, I'm who has to get them out of that. So like I used to have, like, oh, it's Magic Monday and what fun, cute thing can I say? But again, it's like the longer I've been there, it's like, no, it's Miracle Monday. It is not Magic Monday. It's Miracle Monday.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
there's a difference to that, even though they're still positive and they're still great.
Right.
That is so different. And like again, that's what I try to keep in mind, and that's what I try to tell our kids, and that's what I try to tell the guys. Now again, I obviously have to do it in an HR way, because you got to be PC about everything, but still, like at the end of the day, they know what I'm telling them. You know what I mean? Just like
Mhm.
there's a couple of them that it's like I'm just always like, it'll be all right, like because I know I can't say anything else to that particular guy. But I do know it's going to be all right. And it's going to be all right. And we both know why it's going to be all right, even if neither one of us can say it because we're at work. And it's just, again, like I think prayer, whether it's for ourselves, for others, whether it's a formal, you learned it, whether it's a you just God, and that's like all that comes out, whether it is that you're coming in and out of consciousness and it's not you at all, however that occurs. And actually, like my mom and I had a talk about this, and it was when they were first Facebook had like their memes and all that, and a lot of them were the tattoos, and it was like, do you know the real name of God? And then it would show the tattoo, and my mom's like, but that makes sense. And I was like, all right, like explain yourself, Lucy. You know what I mean? Like I need more here. And she's like, because then literally that's how from your first breath to your last breath, you're talking to God. Because if his name is the same as what our breath, like that's the same letters, same sound. She's like, so literally from the first breath you take to the last breath you take, you are talking to God. And I'm like, yeah, like, oh yeah, like, you know what I mean? And again, it's things like that we don't think about that. We don't know, but that's how much thought he put into it though. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to think about that or do that or know that. He designed us that way, that perfectly, that like literally from your first breath to your last breath, you are talking to him.
Wow. And it is so amazing to wrap your brain around that, because for a lot of people, when they get so caught up, because although you said that what you go through doesn't have to define you.
Correct.
It doesn't have to control you. It doesn't
Correct.
have to break us. But for some people, it does.
Yes.
For some people, they can't seem to find themselves out of the cycle
Mm-hmm.
of what the world has shown them. They're caught up. And you know how they say sometimes people are surviving, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
really thriving. And
Correct.
so when we talk about becoming her, it is a process to thrive. It is a
Yeah.
process to, because Jesus said, I came that you may have life and have it more abundantly.
Yeah.
So that's thriving. That's not
Yeah.
surviving. But society and the world wants you to think that it has to be a struggle
Yes.
every single time.
Yes. And I think the whole being broken isn't bad though, because that's how the light gets in, And I think all the time, like, so I'm an art snob on my other side of things when I do have 5 minutes of free time. I love mosaics, and that's broken tile, you know what I mean? But they make the most beautiful pieces of art out of them. And then like when me and my significant other, Philip, got together, one of the things he and I had talked about, because again, he was like, I've been through a lot, you've been through a lot, our kids have been through a lot. And it's like, there's this form of Chinese art, and I always forget the name of it. But anyways, it's more or less like a mosaic, right?
Yes.
They take
Alicia
the broken
had her
pottery.
thing too. Yes. I can't
Yeah,
think of the name of it either.
I
I wish it
know.
was
And
on
I'll
here.
think of it at like 2 a.m. and message you. But like they take the gold, actual gold, and they use it to like basically solder the pieces together, because they're like, there's still beauty in that. Like, so again, it's like, it's not even just this culture that has mosaic tiles, or, this person that likes this art style. Like, again, here's a whole nother culture that's like, hey, take this broken pottery, and we value it so much that we're putting gold to hold it together. And again, like, so I think no matter how broken you get, how destroyed, how disheveled, how at the bottom you are, that just means you've got that much better of a foundation. You know what I mean? Like, your rock in your hard place don't have to be a rock in a hard place. That rock can be your fortress wall, and that hard place can be your firm foundation, and you just build from there. So again, I think that's that whole perspective thing. And like, that's what we try to show our kids, that like, no matter what you go through, are you seeing a 6 and I'm seeing a 9? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean, again, you're right and I'm wrong. It's just your perspective. So if you can change your perspective, you can change everything.
That's so good. And you know what? You're absolutely right, because there's so many things that are parallel in life. Oh, there she goes. And girl, I'm going to pronounce it Ashley.
Oh, she found it.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, because I'm horrible with that. Like,
okay, I was getting ready to say, I ain't going to jack it up either. Nicoria, you know, you did multidimensional in phonetics. I need you to break that down for us. But
yes. But yes, no, and it's beautiful.
Yes, but you know what? It goes back to where they said broken crowns still color. So people will think that, you know, I'm gonna throw them away, but you know, you can still use them to create something beautiful. You can still take things, and I think that again, it is perspective, because at the end of the day, we may feel like our flaws keep us from being beautiful to God, but at the end of the day, God used flawed human beings to do amazing things. Whether Moses was a stutterer, whether Noah was a drunk, whether, you know, David was out here in these streets doing what he was doing and taking, you know what I'm saying? I mean, people are doing things. They talk, Rahab was a prostitute, you know, so we are so judgmental in society now, but it is the people who were not, you know, Peter was cussing people left and right. So it's things that God used for us to be able to take us to the level that he wants us to become. And if you see it from the right perspective, then it shouldn't stop you. It should actually make you feel like, if he can use them, then maybe he can use me. If he can use them and their brokenness, can he use me? Does he still love me? You know, and he does, no matter what, because he already know. The word says, I know the plans I have for you. You don't think that, come on.
Exactly.
I love me some Nicole. First, Nicole said, this is so good. Nicole came back with the pronunciation, Kintsugi.
Okay. So here's another one, and I think this one's a Chinese one too. I do know how it's pronounced, only because Philip and I stumbled upon this accidentally. Wabi Sabi. So we had gone to this restaurant, Sabi's, and we loved it. And we were just jokingly like, it kind of became our thing then, that like, oh, do you want Wabi Sabi? And we were just like joking around, you know. So of course, our phones being our phones. Yes, he told me I'm Wabi Sabi. So it became our thing though, you know, that like, do you want Wabi Sabi? And we both knew it was that restaurant and that type of food. But so our phones being our phones, you know, because they're great about listening, which I'm not knocking it. Sometimes it can be very useful. That it heard us saying that like again and again. That is another form of artwork, we found out. So like, that's an actual thing. It is like unusual and wonky and different, but it's still beautiful. And that's my thing. Like, so everything comes back to that, like, just because society says there's a standard, or we say there's a standard, or whoever says this is the normal and this is the box to be in, that does not mean you are any less beautiful or any less important. And one of the things that like, I think it made me think about the most too was like, so when I went through my first divorce, I was in a support group. There was, you know, like different classes and workshops and things, and they were all nice and good. But I tell you what, the counselor that actually ran it, when she would just come in and talk, I gained more from that than I did anything else. And so now, mind you, my son's going to be 16. So that means I was in this support group like 15 and a half years ago. And it is just, I can still literally hear her saying it, you know what I mean? And see her standing in that room saying it. She had a $20 bill. And she folds it in half and she's like, what is it? And we're like, a $20 bill. So then she folds it a few more times and she's like, well, what is it now? And we're like, okay, she's done lost it. You know what I mean? Like, we need to call somebody. Like she's just off her rocker. And we're like, And that's the thing. We're like, it's still a $20 bill, lady. Like, so then she starts to rip just like the corners of it, right? I mean, and she's like really like, she probably did like 10 different things, right? So finally, her final act, and each time she kept asking us, like, what is it? And we're still like, okay, Lululemon, it's still a $20 bill. Like, stop it. She rips it in half. And she's like, well, what about now? And we're like, it's still a freaking $20 bill. Just now it's ripped in half. And she's like, so what made you anything less than a $20 bill? She's like, just because you've been through things, you are still what you were. And we're like, oh, my bad. You're not crazy. We love you. Thank you. Put this on a t-shirt. Put this on a billboard. Yeah.
Great analogy. And you know what? And I love analogies because sometimes you can't get it until you get it.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like people can tell you a lot of different things until you can relate to whatever it is they're saying and you get your aha moment. Somebody can tell you all day long about whatever and they can make it all beautiful and everything. And then sometimes you just got to get in the gut and be like, this is this. And they're like,
yes.
She started off with that. Now it makes sense to me. Now I know what you're saying. So yes, absolutely.
But and that's what I mean. So it's like everything is always beautiful. You just have to find it. Or like we had a music theory teacher in high school, and it was another one of those same thing, like especially in high school, because then we were even younger and dumber, but yet we thought we knew more, you know.
Right.
So she's teaching us all these different things, and a lot of them made sense. She got on this one, and it was about this guy in New York, how he thought everything could be music. And we're like, all right. Well, she's telling us, no, you know, like you can, a squirrel can jump on a trash can. And this, like, just all these random. I tell you what, Angela, I wish I knew that composer's name. I wish or whatever he was, because she then played us snippets of it. And it was like, oh, that's like better than the orchestra that you guys took us to. Like it was so beautiful because he would take clips and it would just be like, you know, this bird hopping on this sidewalk. And then this one's this squirrel jumping on these trash can lids. But he would put it all together. And it's like, that was nature's melody. That was God's song. And it's like, but you don't hear it. You know what I mean? You're just hearing this noise. But when you step back and somebody pulled it all together for you, again, it was the most beautiful thing. But like, again, when she's explaining it, we're going trash cans, squirrels. Okay. Yeah, this is going to sound great. So I mean, there's beauty in everything, including all of us. And like,
it is. I'm so glad. Actually, I'm loving this conversation because it speaks to how we have allowed, like, so let's just back it all the way back. When you were a kid, they can tell you that you couldn't do anything because in your mind you feel like, why come I can't? Why can't I not do this? I can do whatever I want to. I'm gonna jump off the roof, then I'm gonna fly. Right. And you just automatically until somebody told you, oh no, you can't do this, you'll break your neck or whatever. But the constraints that adults put on us, who's to say that? You know what I'm saying? Because when you think about all the years, if you read the Bible, or you just, even if you didn't, and you look at pyramids, how did they do that without the things that we have now?
Right, all this equipment and all this technology. Right.
Exactly. So that lets you know. Or I've read that when you go into some of those tombs, they have identical medical instruments like we have right now. How did they know to do that and use that? And we're so advanced now. So that lets you know that whatever your mind sees, whatever you have, because we have the ability. If we're from God, then of course we're creative beings. So you can take something from nothing and make it amazing. And you just have to have the right person to be able to see your perspective and your point of view. That's why I would say when people talk about autistic kids, do you know that they're on such a higher level because their focus is supreme. So even though you may feel like they're on the spectrum, they may not get what you're talking about, but maybe because their brain is wired in a manner to where they see it differently. So that's why they can add so quickly, or they can get into science, or they can just get into whatever, because their measurement of beauty is totally different. Like this person's measurement of sound, like you hear squirrels on the trash can, you're just like, that sounds like crap. I'm not gonna listen to that. And then when he puts it all together, you're like, oh my God. Wow. If we could just take life like that and stop always making it about, you know, capitalism and consumerism and all these, you know, other things, and really just say, where's the beauty in it? You know how they say, what would Jesus do? Where's the beauty in this situation? And it will change the world for real.
It does. It does. So there's another. So for as much as I don't like a lot of things about social media, because I get it can be very doom and gloom and negative, there
Yes.
is so much though that I love. And one of the ones, it's like this little animated short, and there's like this little tiny village on the edge of a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, here's the cliff, here's this little village, and the mountain actually comes to life and like slides down. So the villagers are all freaking out, shooting arrows at this mountain because, oh my gosh, the mountain's coming towards us. The mountain was actually coming towards them to block, like, I'm assuming it was meteors from how it was animated, but there's like all these other rocks and boulders and things coming at the village. So the mountain had moved to shield the village. So again, what they thought was like this horrible, terrible monster because here's this mountain coming towards us. It was literally blocking all this other stuff that would have destroyed them. And then now he moves back, the sunshine comes back, and they're all just like, oops, our bad. Like we shouldn't have been shooting arrows at you. And it's like, so again, even those hard times, even those bad things, and I know that can be so difficult to say and to admit and to think about, you know what I mean? Like, because again, I think about like my hard times and it's like, I don't know what good could have came from that.
Exactly.
But something good did come from that. Or if something good didn't come from it, was that again the thing that I thought was that horrible, terrible mountain, and it was still at least shielding me from something even more horrible and terrible.
Know.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
I always say sometimes what you think is the worst thing turns out to be the best thing.
Yes.
In the long run, because again, we measure ourselves by day by day or week by week or whatever. God is looking at eternity, and so from eternity's perspective, what we're talking about is a blip on the screen. It's not really that major or important, but we never really think outside of somebody else. Because my brother, he was talking about being in his job, and so they were talking about how they always talk about high level views of things. So if you're in a room, you see things one way. If you're on top of the roof, you see it another way. If you're in a tree, you see it a different way. If you're in a plane, you're seeing it even more differently. Perspective can shift how anything looks. When you're in the middle of a situation in a room and that's all you see is these four walls and whatever is in there, then you're like, oh my God, how am I going to make it? But if you're on a roof, you're like, oh girl, you got so much space. You got plenty of things to do. If you were in a tree, you'd be like, girl, that is really makes no difference. It is perspective. And I hope whoever's listening to this, share this with somebody, because it is a shift in how you see things that can make all the difference in where you are right now in your world.
Yes.
Let me get a piece of your bio. Ashley Nicole Arnold Morrow is a local author and passionate advocate for female empowerment and environmental conservation in Northeast Ohio. As a co-author of her, she brings a wealth of experience in crafting engaging stories, which y'all see now, that inspire and educate. Her children's book series, The Adventures of Frank and May, focuses on nature, native plants, and fungi, aiming to encourage young readers to love and protect the planet. When not writing, Ashley enjoys spending time with her kids, Aiden, and is it Elena?
Elena, yeah.
Elena, okay. So Aiden is 15, Elena is 12, and Elijah is 8. She enjoys sipping coffee and exploring the great outdoors with her best friend and a significant other, Philip. So let's talk about The Adventures of Frank and May real quick. What made you decide to come up? Because that's going to be coming up very soon, everybody. So just to let you know.
It is. So I have wanted to do kids' books for forever. Just because I think there is something so sweet and innocent and amazing about them. And not even just the fact that like they're for kids, but just the way they're written. There is such a whimsy and a fun. And I feel like the older we get, that is sucked out of us, and the color and the joy, like all that gets pulled out. And even in our book, you know what I mean? Like our book is definitely not that whimsy and that joy. And again, that's not to say there's not joyous moments, but you know what I mean? Like it's just a different level. And so like children's books, it's just like it feeds your soul to write them. And then to know that like this one is educational and it's informative and it gives them prompts. Because my thing is like, so if I go pick up a children's book, like for Elijah, he's going to read it and that's going to be the end of it. Now we might, if it's a really good children's book, him come be like, hey, I want to draw this picture to go with it and you hang it on the fridge. You know what I mean? Like there might be a little bit more, but there isn't that like interaction to make it last. So I put prompts in the Adventures of Frank and May so that it would stick forever. Because my thing is the more it sticks with them, the more they're going to carry that into adulthood. And that's obviously where they're going to need it. You know what I mean? Because like, again, right now they're little, so they might be able to plant a couple plants with mom. They might be able to have like a strawberry garden with grandma, but they aren't fundamentally protecting the environment and changing the ecosystem for the better. So if I can make them go, hey, remember that show, remember that children's book, remember that, you know, whatever, it's going to stick. And then they're going to want to do that as an adult when they do have the power and authority and ability to make that positive impact. So by doing the prompts, that gave them that it was like, hey, go outside. How many different types of flowers you have? Hey, go out back. How many different types of fungus do you have or mushrooms do you have? But then not only that too, a lot of parents don't read to their children anymore, which I have a lot of beef with, and I will keep that to myself. But they don't. But there is, again, a psychological difference in your kids when, like, if you read it to your kids, I read it to my kids versus them reading it to themselves. And it's not, again, on like a level of understanding or comprehension. It's how did that make me feel? How do I retain it? Because again, them hearing your voice, my kids hearing my voice, you know what I mean? They're connecting that with the person that cares about them, spending time with them. So it resonates differently. So that's where, like, again, I wanted the book to be as interactive as possible so that if mom and dad don't read it to them, hopefully you can still hear my voice reading it to you. Hopefully there's still this fun time and this interaction and this engagement so that it lasts with them a lifetime, so that they do keep coming back to, let me learn more about nature. Let me learn more about native plants. Let me go plant an orchard or, you know, whatever it is.
Seed, Ashley, to be honest, you are planting seeds in somebody's memory, in their brain, to where they can remember when they get older. I remember when I read The Adventures of Frank and May, and now I know that, you know, I want to go out and do something that means something to the world.
Yeah.
So let me read these 2-3 comments, and then I'm gonna give you an opportunity to spotlight yourself, right? Okay, so Sparkle said, you're the perfect person to do kids books. I will buy for my future diamond babies. Nicole said, you are so amazing and inspiring, Ash, and your passion, your excitement and encouragement is contagious. And Sparkle came back and said, yes, statistics show that parents that read to their children are more intelligent.
They are, because it sticks with them in a whole different way.
It does. And I would say this, Ashley, and I'm pretty sure you've already, you know, thought about it because, you know, you did the Books and Brews. So you have the perfect animation for reading and sharing stories and things. So you need to get with the library and have, like, you know, story time with Ash or something where they can come and hear you read, because I think that for a lot of kids, technology has taken over so much that they don't get the human interaction and the inflection and the funness of, you know, making a book come to life like they do video games and things like that. But if you can give the same excitement, like, oh, wow, or like, whoa, or wow, whatever it is, like Cynthia said, you are such a light because it Captain a Planet, that cartoon changed my life. You have got to know that there are some things that children get a hold to. I know that's right, Sparkle. You see, when she was talking, I was like, baby, we're going to call the libraries in Ohio, baby, and get everybody to book Ashley story time with Ash, because can y'all not just imagine and everybody's like, when are we going to see Miss Ashley? When are we going to see her? Because it's sad. You just make it fun. You make it sound like, I want to do that. I want my kids to have that experience.
So I will say this. I'm actually doing this for our book, not my children's book, but I'm doing a Books and Bovine where I'm reading to cows because I love cows. And I know you guys can't see my background, and now my phone's actually dying, so I better plug you in. But our whole entire house is decorated with cows, which was part of what I put in my chapter. But I mean, like, I have them everywhere. And most of them are the fuzzy furry Highlands. So obviously with Books and Brews and then the Books and Bows, everything's like been B&B. So I just kind of, as like a smart ass, told Philip, hey, I want to do Books and Bovine. Well, then I was like, no, I really could and I really should. So I'm actually going to be reading our book, and like that's part of my marketing and advertising. So I mean, I am open to doing whatever for the children's books, including going to libraries. And you can actually, there's a farm by us that has mini cows that you can rent for the day. Like you can have them in your wedding, you can have them at your bridal shower, you can whatever. So I could just
Wow.
probably rent one of them and take it to the library with me as long as the library is okay with it.
Exactly. So now let's tap in a little further. You know, Chick-fil-A always has their cow, right?
Yeah.
That they're doing
Yeah.
something. Call them and tell them what your passion is. When the book comes out, see if you can do something that can
Yes,
tie it in, because they do all kind of community service
they
things. Tap
do.
in. Ashley is gonna make some things happen with this
Yeah.
thing. Ashley, yes, honey. While they talking about eat more chicken, you gonna yes. We're gonna do something with that. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Nicole said that you are how she learned to recycle, not litter, take care of the earth. So
Yeah.
Ashley, you are changing the world for the next generation. Sparkle laugh and sparkle, no baby. It don't take me much to be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. But I need Ashley to get her spotlight time. I want her to be able to share whatever it is, Ashley, that you want to share with everybody, whether it's about the book, whether it's about prayer, whether it's about just life in general. But it's your moment to share.
So it's actually you and Nicole. So I know you always say there's 25 amazing, talented authors. There's 26 of us, because without you, we would not have this book. So you pulled us all together. You were our melting pot. So there is definitely 26 of us that deserve recognition every time, not 25. And then it is definitely Nicole as well, because without her, I wouldn't have been able to participate in her. So I am exceedingly thankful for both of you. And I don't think either of you give yourselves enough credit. And you two definitely deserve the spotlight for that.
I wasn't ready. Thank you. That was so
You're very
sweet.
welcome.
That was so sweet.
You're very welcome. Yeah. I'm like, I'm holding because now I got to hold my phone. But yes, no, you do. You do. You have done so much for all of us, and this book would not be possible without you as well. So
Thank you.
you're very
Well, I
welcome.
tell you, we have had just the most amazing ladies be a part of this project, and it has been an absolute pleasure. And we're just getting started. You know, you've done your books and brews. Look, Nicole got the little teary face too. Like, look, we're like, but it has been absolutely amazing, and we are going to continue on with this because y'all see. Ashley, baby, got a whatever it is, wherever she goes, she's meeting people and connecting people and telling people how they can do things. So that is the beauty of what we do. So Ashley, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
a co-author in this project, and for your desire and passion to save the planet, because we need it for
We
sure.
do. We do.
We definitely do. And while she's saving the planet, she's saving people who
Yeah.
don't even know they need to be saved. But just that contagious, infectious energy of hers helps us to become better people. So we thank you. Nicole says, "I love you forever, Ashley."
I love you too.
Yes, ma'am. Well, listen, this is the end of the broadcast for tonight. Y'all make sure to tune in. Come back tomorrow so you can catch the next author, because I'm telling y'all, we are going through the rest of this week to the end of the month. So we're not missing Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on back so y'all can get a taste of these, because everybody has been on and they have just been absolutely amazing. And this has been super fun. Sparkle said, awesome interview. Keep being you. For sure. And tell Philip that keep being him, because
Oh,
he's
I will.
awesome too. All right, Ashley, it was a pleasure. You guys have a
Likewise.
great rest of the evening, and we'll see
Yeah.
you back tomorrow night. All
All right.
right.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.